Hi guys, and welcome back to World of Tanks. And well, it's going to be some reviews. Quite a busy week. I've mentioned it before. In this video I'm going to be looking at the Rheinmetall Skorpion G, which is a new premium tier 8 German tank destroyer. There is also the M46 pattern Career, or the Ripper pattern, a tier 8 American medium tank, and there is the Panzer 58 Mutz, a German premium medium tank, tier 8 again. Now, I think these are the Beasts of Prey, possibly, or the Predator, well, I don't know anyway, but they're available in a bundle in the store at the moment, and the reason I'm looking at them like this for now is because there has been a bit of a hold-up on the Mutz getting credited to my account, so it will be here as soon as possible, hopefully in time for me to review it tomorrow. But just worth mentioning as well, I know for the last couple of bundles it's actually been cheaper to pick them up, I'm assuming from the Xbox store as well, but possibly, definitely from the PSN store, to pick them up from there, and it worked out a lot less than putting the required amount of gold on. However, with this one, it is basically the same. You'd have to put £74 worth of gold on to get it, but you would get 500 back. And in the PSN store it's £74, so it doesn't seem to work out any cheaper with that one. But we're going to be looking at the Skorpion G in this video now. It is a nice excuse for all those of you that have tanks with half decent HE ammo to load a few up and start flinging them in the Skorpion's direction, because armoured it is not. But I do like this tank, and it's nice to have some new premiums instead of just sort of reskins, although technically I suppose the M46 is just kind of a reskin of the tier 9 M46 pattern, but there are some differences, but we'll look at that in the pattern video. So, the Rheinmetall Skorpion G, it's based on the chassis of a Panther tank, as you can probably recognise. Does look a bit different, and it is armed with the 12.8cm cannon, I think it is, the same one that you get on the Rheinmetall Borsig. Yep, the 12.8cm cannon 43L55. You get a 650 horsepower engine. You get a rate of fire of 4.92 rounds, which I think is possibly the same as the Borsig, but I'll check that in a second anyway. 246 pen with your standard ammo, 490 damage, 311 on your premium, again with 490, 65 and 630 for your HE. So it would be worth taking a couple of HE in this, considering the amount of Skorpion Gs I've seen in matches. So that's worth bearing in mind. Aiming time is 2.1 seconds. Accuracy is absolutely fantastic at 0.30. It is a very, very accurate gun. You get a decent hull traverse of 30 degrees a second, but as with most turreted TDs, you get a very poor turret traverse at only 18 degrees a second. 360 meter view range as well, which isn't too savage. I suppose TDs are known for having a bit of a lesser view range, because otherwise it would be quite OP if they could outspot everything quite easily. But yeah, 360 is not bad. And you've got a 700 meter signal range as well. Now, where were we? That was it. I was just going to check quickly, which I probably should have done before, and I can't even figure out the right button now. I have got myself all in a flap. Right, Rheinmetall Borsig. I'm pretty sure it is the same rate of fire, but we'll just flick through quickly and have a look, and then I'll go back to the favourites again. Yep, quite a lot of tanks. Right, I've actually got my Borsig crew in it at the moment. So, oh no, the Borsig does get a faster rate of fire. There you go, 5.22 rounds. But essentially, the rest of the ammo sort of things are the same. It's got a slightly longer aiming time, and it's not as accurate on the Borsig either. So you do get that, although it has got the same traverse speed on the actual gun, the turret I suppose, and slightly better on the hull. But anyway, I'm not going to compare it too much to the Borsig, because apart from the gun, it's a very, very different tank. So I'm just going to leave it there, I think. Now, equipment wise, I've gone for a gun laying drive. You can't have a vertical stabilizer. I've also gone for a gun rammer, and I've gone for coated optics on mine. There is an argument you could go for binoculars, and obviously speed to a place, stop, and let your binoculars set up, but I just prefer to have the coated optics on it, because I do find myself moving around a lot more in this, too much so for binoculars to actually be effective, I find. But with that and situational awareness, of your range is quite good on this. And although there probably is going to be a lot of things you come up against, because it does see up to tier 10 that can outspot you, it does drop that number down and limit it somewhat. So, you know, it just makes it a bit better. You're not really going to be outspotting a great deal. The lower tiers you will. But anyway, what we covered, equipment. Skill-wise, well, I've got my Borsig crew in, but these skills seem to be working out quite well for me. Sixth Sense, Camouflage, Situational Awareness, when I can talk properly, Situational Awareness. Also, Pain Tolerance. It's very thin armoured, and the crew members, well, I've noticed I'm getting knocked out quite a bit when I have got hit, although I have been able to avoid getting hit quite a lot as well. Clutch breaking, yeah, maybe. Snapshot, I would say, on there as well, and obviously just your stealthier stuff if you can, silent running, muffled shot, that sort of thing. But that's, you know, my equipment setup. Supplies wise, 1070 for your armour piercing, which is standard, 4800 for your APCR premiums, and 935 for your HE. But you don't have a massive ammo count, you have 30 rounds in it. It does seem to be enough though. I've just stuck 6 APCR on there, and to be honest, I've not used a single one yet, I don't think. Although I'll probably prove myself wrong when I get into the replays and use one, but there you go. Now, it does pull up to tier 10, like I mentioned. Bonus wise, it's pretty standard tier 8 bonus, although generally what I found with some of the higher tier TDs is the premium ones tend to have a bit less of a money bonus on them sometimes, although again I could be getting mixed up, but never mind, just ignore me half the time. Anyway, silver bonus 50% and XP bonus 15%, so you know it can and it does earn quite a bit of silver. You have 1,150 hit points, and it costs, well, its Tankopedia price is 11,700, and again, unfortunately, we are getting a staggered release on these, so you get the ultimate bundles, I think it's about the 7th, and then possibly about a week later, I think it is, you get the loaded ones, and then after that you get the standard ones, so yeah, it is a bit of a timed release, so that is frustrating. Concealment as well isn't great on this. It is quite a big machine. It's, you know, it's very tall, so you get 0.20 well stationary and 0.14 moving. Now I mentioned the 650 horsepower engine translates into a half decent power to weight ratio actually of 17.02, and you have a very good top speed of 60 kilometers an hour with 20 in reverse, but you do have a 20% chance of fire. It's not too big an engine, but it does take up most of the rear of the tank from, well, basically where the angled upper sides of the hull are, is where the engine is. Now with the gun, some of these turreted TDs, like the American Skorpion, the actual gun shield and everything seems to class as the gun, but with this one it is laid out slightly differently. But your standard reload time is 12.2 seconds. We've already mentioned the fantastic accuracy. You get an elevation of 14 degrees, which isn't brilliant, so you do struggle sometimes if anything gets above you, and your depression is -7, but I think... now, I'll have to have another look at this and mention it in the replays. I cannot remember if it's this or the pattern, because I've been playing both today quite a bit, where you do get slightly more depression over the side, but not by much, so I will check on that and let you know in the replays. Tracks are solid on this, there's no gaps in between them. They will act as a certain amount of spaced armour, but I don't rely on them to save you by any means. Terrain resistances 1.2, 1.5 and 3, which is quite poor, so try and avoid any soft boggy ground if you can. You know, the sort of marshy swamplands, because that is a very poor terrain resistance. Now the turret is classed as the gun shield and actually extends down into the hull as well. Radio is in the front of the hull, in between the driver and, well, I don't know, assistant driver it must be. There's no machine gun port on here. Ammunition blocks, quite odd. There's a big flat one just under the front of the turret, in fact, where the hull sticks out in that square, boxy shape. So I don't know if you can hit that through the front. I don't think I've had that happen to me yet, but it's there. The other one is on the back left corner, again, just at the back corner of that boxy part of the hull in the centre. Crew members, you've only got 4. You've got the driver and, again, assistant driver, possibly loader, passing the shells up. I don't know, but it seems unrealistic. I might be wrong. But this tank only existed in blueprints as well, by the way. And then up in the top, you've got the gunner, and I'm assuming the commander acts as the loader as well. In fact, he could be the radio operator down in the hull, thinking about it with the radio placement. Armour-wise, like I say, there's not much to tell. You get 30mm on the front of your hull, 16 on the side and 20 on the rear, and your turret is 15 on the front, 15 on the sides, and 0 on the rear. So yeah, you're not going to be bouncing anything, I don't think, in this. That's what I mean about the HE. Anything with half decent HE is going to have a field day with these, and RT certainly does. They like to shoot at these. In fact, my first match, I think I was doing alright near the beginning of the match, and then a Hummel just wiped me out. I think I'd taken a hit, though. I didn't do it from full health. But yeah, there isn't really much to tell about Armour then, really. 1 to 20, hull floor, turret, even extended down into the whole base of the hull sides, the rear, the whole engine deck. It's most of the tank. And then you've just got the third, well, I'm assuming the tracks are going to be 30mm, I could be wrong. But yeah, the 30mm upper lower glacis and the fronts of those boxy bits that stick out on the side, and that's really it. So your defence in this is not getting seen and not getting hit. But it's quite good at not getting seen and not getting hit, I must admit. Well, I don't know about the not getting seen. I do tend to get seen a fair old whack in this, but it does seem quite adept at avoiding the hits. It's you know, its forwards and backwards motion's quite nice, so you can sort of get back out of there, but you've really got to be on the ball when you get spotted. Don't take the chances, just pull back straight away. I think that's about it really for the garage, so let's get into a couple of replays and see how it actually handles. Right, so here we are for the first of the replays, and as you can see, it's a tier 8 match. Now, a couple of things I did forget to mention in the garage review. It does have perma camo, so no, you can't put any camo on it. But it does look quite nice, actually. You know, I like the Skorpion on the gun shield. And shell velocity, 920 meters a second for your standard armor piercing, and 1,150 for your APCR. Now, with me having you know, a few tanks to review, I've not had a chance to have loads of games in this, but I've not needed them. I've found that I've basically got a feel for it quite quickly, and it's quite a nice tank, or a nice TD to drive. I mean, yeah, it's barely got any armour, and I've seen quite a few of these, and I've seen a few, you know, the odd one or two, and they've done very, very well. In fact, I was in a match earlier in the pattern, and there was a Skorpion G on the other team that I think did 4,500 damage. And on the Xbox yesterday, I think I saw somebody in a Skorpion G that got 7 kills and actually, you know, won the game at the end, and did quite a bit of damage as well to go along with it. So I have seen some people do very well in these, but I've also seen people, and quite a few people, do not so well in these. And with regards to sort of, what can I say, sort of give you tips on how to use it. Let me have a think. Well, me personally, I love this tank. I've not tried the Mutts yet, because I've not got that yet. The pattern was the one I was least looking forward to, and you know, I've actually been enjoying it quite a bit. And it's not that, you know, I thought it was rubbish. You know, I kind of know what it is, if you see what I mean. It's essentially a slightly better Pershing, ever so slightly. So, you know, I suppose it is kind of a reskin. But I do enjoy, you know, I do like it. You know, I've kind of found it, like I say, enjoyable, but kind of average. But, you know, we're not here to talk about this. With this, I do love this TD. I really do. It's kind of like a, I don't know, kind of like a fast Borsig in a way. Obviously, you know, it can't have the 15 centimeter. It's got the sort of 12.8. But I do enjoy it. It's a very accurate gun. I do take a bit of a hit there, and it damages my ammo rack. But that was down to me, not getting out of there quick enough. Really should have paid a bit more attention. Didn't think they were looking at me. Now he's roughly about there, maybe. Nope. But he's coming across. Can I get him? And yes, a nice hit, and set him on fire as well, which was nice. So, tips on how to use it. Well, I've not actually been in any tier 10 games in this. Now, I would imagine that you're probably going to have to fire the odd premium round in a tier 10 game, but even so, you do have very good penetration on this, and it's quick enough to get around the flanks and to move about to where you want it and get around the side of somebody, you know, sort of skirt around the edge of the map and get around the sides. I've been in a couple of tier 9 matches and did alright in it. Probably need to get a bit more of a handle on it, but in tier 9 matches at the start there, you're going to have to play it cautiously. You're going to have to play it fairly cautiously anyway, because, you know, it has no armour whatsoever. But it does have a very accurate gun, like I say, that Revelori is going to attest to that. But yeah, you kind of play it cautiously, move about, get your shots in, and I don't know, it's hard to sort of describe. Like I say, I mean, anybody that's sort of used to Borsig, you know, Waffenträger, Panzer IV, you know, that sort of big gun, big damage, slow rate of fire, no armour whatsoever, you're probably going to get on very well with this and have a good time in it, because it's, you know, kind of like a very quick version almost. I mean, I've only been in the Borsig, I can't comment on the Waffenträger Panzer IV. But I've found with this, if you try and stay and keep the enemy tanks at sort of the extremes of your sort of your kind of view range and your detectability circle, you can do quite well in it. And he's about there somewhere. There he is. And that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm sort of following these other tanks, keeping at the edge, or keeping the enemy as far at the edge or as far away as I can, and putting the shots in. But I can move about very, very easily as well, and quite quickly, which is nice because you can pop up, you can get your shots in, and you can relocate if you need to. And I've just got a handy medium tank over there, not quite enough to take him out, although that was a high roll, but just not quite enough. And I don't know if he's going to pop back up, so I'll have another look at this Skorpion G. But in your tier 9 matches, you've really got to do that. You've really got to concentrate on your placement, because you don't want to be getting too close. Everything you come up against is going to pen you. A lot of it with its HE rounds as well. So you do have to be careful, and I took a bit of a risk there with that T28 prototype. I did hang about a bit too long, but he was waiting for his shot to come in, and I did get away with that. But yeah, that was a bit risky. But then again, I've got most of my health to play with, so I'm not too savage. But it's not looking very good on the team list at the minute, and there's me and 2 mediums, and they're down by the cap. Now, I want to try and take out this Skorpion G, because he's quick, and he's got a big gun, so he can sneak up quite quickly. But now what I'm going to do, and this is where I've got to make a decision. The 2 mediums are down near our cap, and they're now down to 1 medium, and he's got tanks closing in. So basically my decision is to try and get back down there, stick together with him. Hopefully he can spot, I can put the shots in from a distance, and we might be able to do something here with this. That's the plan. And that's kind of how you want to play this. You've really, you know, you've really got to think in this. But unfortunately, an STA2 knew roughly where I was and decided to chase me down, and with it being quite an open map, the only choice I've really got is to try and turn and fight, and it's a fight that I was pretty sure I wasn't going to win, especially after I took the damage from that guy. I think it was that VK possibly. So yeah, this was unfortunate. But yeah, in your higher tier matches, you've really got to think about your placement and think about where you're going, where you can get your shots off. But it is, you know, it is nippy enough to get in and out, you know, sort of pop in and out quite quickly and get sneaky shots off, but your aiming circle's a bit poor. And although that was a defeat, I came out of it with a high caliber, 5,500 damage done, 4 kills and an ace tanker. Now, I don't know what the ace has gone off. Obviously, when we get a battle hero medal, the high caliber, I get the XP as though it was a win. But when you look at the base XP that I got, it was less than 1,000 for the loss. So yeah, very surprised at getting an ace tanker out of that one. And I did think possibly, is it maybe that it's still new and it's set, you know, the setting's quite low. But then after seeing how people have been performing, like I said, I've seen a few people do very well in this, but I've seen a lot of people do not so well. It may be that, you know, that sort of brought it down slightly. I really don't know. But yeah, very, very surprised to get an ace on that one with the with that low base XP there. Now another tier 8 match for you. Again, I didn't really have, well, I didn't get in any tier 10s, and I only got in one tier 9, I think it was. And it didn't go very well, unfortunately. It was Siegfried line, and I went out to a bunker where you can fire through the slot on the field. And yeah, somebody kind of did it to me from the other side, and took me out very quickly. I took a couple of big hits, and one of them was an auto loader. So yeah, unfortunate. Now with this one, I'm not quite sure. With this map, starting at this end, I'm never quite sure where to go in a glass cannon. Like this, like the Borsig, Charioteer for instance. So yeah, I've come up here at first to maybe get shots at anything that comes down that top way, but then I'm looking at the map and the spread is awful. I'm not quite sure what's going on with the team, but the spread is pretty poor. And then a light tank comes buzzing along, and I go to basically stop and just slide down. Something with this, the suspension's quite bouncy, so when you come to a stop, the tank does roll quite a bit. In fact rolled me off a cliff on Overlord earlier, which was quite amusing. But it was at the end of the game, just as the last person died, so it wasn't too savage. At least it wasn't at the beginning. But yeah, it does rock quite a bit when you come to a stop. So again, just keep that in mind if you're zooming up and trying to get a shot off. You've got that bit of a rock first. And this one, I do play it a bit closer in actually, and it's not too bad. But it's I'm not trying to convince anybody to buy it or anything. I'm just giving you my personal opinions on it, and I like it. It is a nice TD, I think, and I really yeah, it's very accurate. But I've really sort of just sort of fallen into this tank and had some decent games in it. And this is definitely one that I'm going to be buying myself. And if I really like the mutts as well, I may end up picking up the bundle with all three, but I'm not sure. If I'm not keen on the mutts, it'll just be this. I'm not overly fussed about the pattern. I've got a Pershing, I've got the Vengeance. Personally, I would possibly pick the pattern over the Vengeance. But yeah, this is definitely one that I am going to be picking up. I do like this tank. But as you can see, I have come in a bit closer. Now this could easily have gone very wrong. You do get spotted quite a lot in this as well. It's not very stealthy, so do be aware of that. But this, if the enemy team had made more of a push along this eastern side, just up where I'm sort of looking with the camera now, this would have gone very differently, and I probably would have been dead by now. So, I was taking a chance, but it didn't seem that there was any of the enemy team up this way. So, it was sort of an educated guess, if you see what I mean. But I'm managing to get some good shots in at these guys down in the valley floor. I've been spotted, so I'll pull straight back. And that's what you've got to do. Don't hang about. If you're spotted, just move, basically. Especially if RT are in play, and especially if you've got your detector thing up as well, which means that somebody's looking at you, then yeah, just back off. But yeah, if you get spotted, just back off and wait a minute. Now the aim time does seem a bit lengthy. It's not so bad after you've fired, but when you've been moving, it does take quite a bit to settle down. I mean, obviously with you having a fairly lengthy reload, it's more than settled down by the time you're ready to take your next shot. But yeah, once you've been moving, it does take a little to settle down again. But I just love the accuracy of this thing. And like I say, the gun holds up in tier 9 matches. I've not been in tier 10, I've been in tier 10 in the Borsig, and it can hold up in tier 10 as well. I know that gun can at least. But especially in tier 10, when a lot of the things up there can kill you very, very quickly, 2 or 3 hits, you're going to have to play very careful, stay back, move, basically. Don't let anybody sort of try and figure out where you are. And that's what's so nice about this. It can relocate very easily. And it does, I mean, the playstyle, the fact is, you know, it's only got 18 degrees on the hull, sorry, the turret traverse. Reminds me a lot of the Charioteer. I've not tried that with a 105mm gun yet, but, you know, that, I seem to struggle to do well in it. This, I do well in. It's funny how these things work out. Now, see if we can take out this AT. Should be able to. Yep, there we go. That was fairly easy. And that's kind of how you want to use this in the late game, basically. Move about and assassinate people with that hefty alpha damage. Roll up, get in a position where you can get a shot off, and boom. And if they're distracted, even better. And in your high tiers for the beginning part of the game, like I've said before, stay back, use other people to spot, try and keep the enemy at the extremes of your detectability circle. And with it being so quick, it's not like you've got to sort of pick a side, you know, pick a route, follow closely behind and hope you don't get spotted when you run into the enemy. You can sort of just linger about a little bit, take your time at first, wait till there's that first enemy contact, and then choose where you're going to go, because you're fast enough to get there. And I think that's why I like this. And that's why I do much better. I mean, I do much better in this than I do in the Borsig. I've had much higher, you know, I don't think I've ever had a 5,500 damage game in the Borsig, and, you know, I know a lot of people do, quite often, and, yep, very nearly went straight into the back of the T69 there. That would have pissed him off if I'd have done that as he was aiming at the RT, so yeah, very lucky. Good job, the brakes are good. But there you go, the Rheinmetall Skorpion G, in my opinion, quite a very nice turreted sort of TD glass cannon. Did come out of that with another ace tanker, just under 3,500 damage done this time, again with another 4 kills and a high caliber though. But yeah, personally, I really do like that. It's not going to be for everybody, I understand that, but I can see a lot of people looking at that, especially the ones that like the sort of German glass cannons, and thinking, I think that might be one for me. But I hope you've enjoyed that, I hope you found it informative. I'll try and give more tips over the coming days on how to use it, because I've been pretty crap with that so far in this episode, so I do apologise. And I'll be back tomorrow with another video. In fact, there might be one even uploading just after this. So anyway, until then, take care out there and I'll catch you next time. See you later.